Hey there, welcome back to the Lion's Garden podcast. I'm your host, Annie Peguero, a mind, body, and whole person leadership coach with 27 years of experience helping people ditch the fear, trust themselves, and live with bold alignment. Around here, we blend real talk, neuroscience, and a whole lot of heart to help you turn fear into fuel and create a life that actually lights you up. Here we go. Let's dig into the Lion's Garden podcast. Before we get started here with episode 101, I just want to remind you about Mighty Meals. So my husband discovered Mighty Meals at the same exact time that I discovered Mighty Meals. It was so wild. I was like, oh, you've got to check out this meal prep service that has fresh meals delivered right to your door. And he's like, Mighty Meals, I just ordered. I'm like, what? So Mighty Meals is this really incredible, super healthy and delicious meal prep service with fresh food, not frozen at all, delivered right to your door. And I have $25 off for you on your first 4 purchases. So not just one purchase, but your first 4 purchases. So if you go over to the show notes, you'll see click here to try Mighty Meals and get $25 off. Just pop right over there. You're going to love it as much as we do. It has been such a lifesaver for our family. Here we go, episode 101. Can we please stop being so friggin' resilient? I mean, seriously, resilience has become something that it is not for some reason. And what I see happening with my clients in our sessions, they talk about this, friends, relatives, acquaintances, like literally anyone that I talk to these days about, well, anyone is willing to talk about like going deeper, beyond surface level stuff. People talk about how quickly they can move out of uncomfortable emotions, or, you know, how quickly they can not feel bad or shitty anymore. And whenever I say things like, you know, what if you just sat with that discomfort for a while? It's my clients that are like, oh, it's like these, you know, bells start ringing, they see the light. But other people that I'm not working with, it's as if that concept is so foreign, so uncomfortable, and not even an option on the table for most people. And I want to talk about that today because I really believe that it is a true problem here in our society, that we're numbing so much and moving so far away from the human experience that it's people think that they're on a healing journey because they're recognizing this discomfort or these uncomfortable emotions, pain, grief, sorrow, trauma, hurt, right? And not taking the time to actually feel it. Therapy is great, right? Like therapy, we talk through the things. We have a therapist that listens and talks about the stuff. But in therapy, what you'll find is most therapists, not all, most, aren't encouraging you to sit in the discomfort. I mean, a lot of people think like the reason to go to therapy is to feel better, to heal, right? To move on the journey, right? But part of the journey, really, in my opinion, the biggest part is getting as close as possible to discomfort, to the uncomfortable human emotions, and because that's where the real growth and expansion and adult development happens, right? And you could take anything from, you know, grief and trauma to overworking, putting yourself last. Like those things are very uncomfortable and, you know, very different on the scale of, you know, magnitude. But it all kind of goes back to the same thing, is we are doing everything we possibly can to get out of pain. Now, my take on this is the more that you can sit with your pain, and for everybody, the time period is different, right? The duration, the length of time that you have to sit in this pain. And usually it's not like, you know, one sitting, you know, the dark night of the soul, and then boom, you're done. You're good to go. It's revisiting, right? It's revisiting the discomfort and having it be a reminder of your wholeness. And this is where the real beauty and growth happens in life. It's that ability to sit there and to start asking yourself some really uncomfortable questions, right? So when you're feeling triggered, let's use this as an example. So say your spouse says something, right, to you, and they use like a tone of voice or something that it's really not that big a deal, right? Like in the moment, but it sets you off, like spinning, right? And you feel your heart race. You can feel yourself sweating. You could just feel like this anger boiling up. And maybe your initial reaction is a response, right? Your initial reaction is to say, I really think it's shitty that you're talking to me like that, or, something to that effect. Or you shut down, you walk away, right? You disengage, you disassociate. And what I'm asking you to do in this situation, right? Like you can put in any type of discomfort feeling scenario in here, but for the one that I'm sharing about, this example that I'm using, I'm going to ask you to, instead of saying something in response or in reaction, just be quiet and notice what's going on in your body. Notice the physiological response. Notice your sweating. Notice your palms either clenching or getting tight or sweating. Notice that you want to say something in response, to lash out, and just notice. Just be aware without trying to fix it. That's the thing, guys. Like without trying to fix it, like just being in that discomfort. And then maybe saying something out loud like, "Oh, I'm really feeling triggered right now." And I'll tell you what, a personal story. The first time that I committed to doing this, it was this same situation that I just described, right? Like my husband's saying something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel my blood start to boil, like I'm boiling. And it took several tries to be able to notice and to be aware and to say to him, "Oh, I'm really feeling triggered right now." Instead of my usual reaction, which was something very different. So to be able to have that peace and calmness during times of being triggered is not easy. And it is one of the biggest benefits to your life, to adult development and growth, to healing generational trauma, to recognize your own level of awareness, whether you see what's going on and feel what's going on in your body, or you just respond, right? Because that's what you've always done. Or you just keep working without regard to what your body is telling you, because that's what you've always done. Or you just, insert any type of thing that you're doing just because you've always done it, as opposed to getting closer to why it feels uncomfortable. No, maybe not why, just getting closer to the fact that it feels uncomfortable. You don't have to ask yourself why, like, why is this happening? That can be the next step, but really just being aware and then saying, when you're ready to move on to asking yourself additional questions, saying things like, when can I remember feeling like this before? Is it 5-year-old me, right? Was it in my teens? Like, when can I remember being dismissed like this before? Or when can I recall feeling this way in the past? And not doing anything about it, right? Not trying to fix it, not trying to say, how can I move through this? How can I be resilient and move through it? No, just sitting there with it, getting curious, being aware, and that is it. just going to take a pause for a minute here. I just shared a whole lot, and it could be very uncomfortable for people to go into this. And maybe some people are like, I'm out, right? They're not going to listen to this anymore because I'm really asking you to get uncomfortable. And that's what I do inside of my coaching group called the Lions Garden Coaching Collective. It's for women over 40. So if you're like, oh yes, Annie, I need this. This is what I'm talking about. Just hop over to the show notes and you'll see the link to join us right there. I get it. It's not fun and it doesn't feel good to sit in pain, right? To sit in grief. And it's very uncomfortable to go through your day feeling crappy. But this doesn't mean, that you get a free pass to walk around and be a jerk to your family. But it does mean that you're allowed to move slowly through your day. Take baths, eat food that nourishes you, and really shrink down your social circles and stop that incessant cardio, right? Like that Orange Theory, that going to cardio because it's releasing those endorphins. Just be. I remember we were in Okinawa, Japan, and I was going to this kind of a medical healing center and also an energetic center, holistic healing, and it was called Yomitan Holistics. Just it's so incredible. And my first couple of sessions, they were like, oh, Annie, just all of the things that were going on with my body and the way that I was holding my pain and grief. And they said, just be. And I'm like, okay, well, what do I do? Like go for walks, go in the ocean, lift more weights. And they're like, no, none of that. Just be. And I thought, they've got to be fucking nuts. Like, there's no way. Like, I have to do something. I have to do or act or take action, like something to get out of this feeling, right? And I know I'm not alone in that. I myself was even, years ago all about taking action. And now I make sure that I say, the action sometimes is nothing. The action is sometimes doing absolutely friggin' nothing and just being. Over time and practice, feeling into these challenging emotions, it really does start to become more normal. And it's part of the human experience that is often skipped and numbed, but I know that you can do it. One, pivotal point for me was, when I stopped drinking alcohol and going through deaths of family members without drinking. It was the first person that passed away in our family is my father's husband. We were very close with him, just an incredible man. He passed away in 2020, and that was the same. That's right around when I stopped drinking, and people are drinking, having wine, and kind of celebrating his life, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to feel. I'm just going to feel what this feels like, this loss, this emptiness, in this big house, and he's not here. He's always playing music and so joyful. I'm like, I'm just going to sit with this. And I did it. And, my mother's death too, just being, just sitting there with her, just watching her leave her body. Challenging as hell. I mean, just, sad and deep but sitting with it and being there in the moments as a loved one leaves their body. Just being so ever present, and then dealing with your own trauma and grief and sorrow and even things that are a little bit lighter, right? Like I talked about earlier, like overworking and not listening to your body and over cardioing. Resilience truly is sitting in the emotions and being aware and feeling it, and then and only then moving into some other, realm or glimmer, still carrying what that grief and pain has gifted you with, but moving on in your life. And, the ability to sit with your tragedy and trauma and allow it to fully wrap you up, and allowing it to flow into your veins and melt into your being, and then take the bits of it, the peaceful and the learning and the darkness, and allow it to weave into the fibers of joy and peace and love in your life until it becomes who you are at your friggin' core. And your everyday life then becomes a reflection of all of your beautiful and tragic human experiences. And that's what I really mean when I talk about wholeness, when I talk about whole person coaching, and when I talk about like what it means to fully be you. And I feel like women over 40 are really in this magical place in life where we're starting to come into ourselves and recognize, yeah, I am a ball of anxiety, nerves, and pain and trauma. And I'm okay with that because it's part of who I am. More wise and living fully and more you. So, contrary to popular belief, and I wrote about this in my Substack. I'm new over there on that platform. In my effort to write 300 words a day, you'll find me over on Substack. Please, subscribe over there. Contrary to popular belief, your trauma does define you. It does. So let's stop pretending that it is not part of you. Let's learn to be aware and allow. That is what healing and growth and expansion is all about. Thanks for listening, my friends. I trust this was super valuable for you, something that you might have to listen to a couple of times, and that's great. Please share it with your friends because this is something that, maybe people are reading about on carousels on Instagram, right? And then saying, oh yeah, that sounds cool. But how do you really do it, right? Like, how do you really sit with the discomfort? And that's what we do inside of the Lions Garden Coaching Collective. If you go over to the show notes, you'll see the link to join, or send me a message on any platform, and I answer all of my messages personally. I can't wait to chat with you about it. Thank you so much. This is Annie Peguero, and I'll talk with you next time.